thought tonight I would show you Miss Evie's carrot casserole. This was one of my favorite dishes growing up. And the funny thing about it is, I didn't like carrots. To tell the truth, I still don't like them very much. But for some reason, the way the flavors blend and come together in this dish, I adore it. Something happens in this combination of ingredients. They sweeten, they get tender, they get fabulous. Alright, so it's extremely simple, very easy. Over here in my little pot, all I have are 4 medium carrots, 1 bell pepper, and about half of a good-sized yellow onion. And these have all been diced. And all I did was cover those with water, and I've got those coming up to a boil. Now, over here, I'm making a bechamel. And that's how I grew up with it. It was just a simple little sauce. Evie would melt butter. Oh, my oven's hot. She'd melt butter, add a little flour, and some milk, salt and pepper. Well, I was doing some research on the properties of cream cheese the other day, and I discovered that we've got slightly over 50% fat, and then I can't remember exactly what the moisture content, but there was a good bit of water, which meant you can use this in place of butter to some degree in all sorts of applications. So what I have in this pan are 2 tablespoons of butter and then 4 ounces of cream cheese, and I'm melting it. And at this point, you know, it kind of looks a little odd. Let me get something to poke him with, because we want to keep it down in there. And you know what? You don't have to bother bringing it to room temperature. You don't have to, you know, soften it in the microwave, because it will all come together on its own here in just a minute. And I'm going to show you how. This was really, really cool. I loved it. I love finding a new trick. Alright, so all I'm going to do now at this point, I've got 3 tablespoons of all-purpose flour. And he's going to go in here, just like you would if you were making any other bechamel or roux. And it's really going to look scary for a minute. Okay, so here we go. Normally at this point, if you're making a roux, and I've been at medium heat, but I have a cranky stove, so I'm turning it down a little bit. Normally if you're making a bechamel, you're going to go 50% flour and 50% butter. And I'm about to swap off my stirring tool for just a minute, because at this point, everybody does want to cling to the whisk. Now, look, mash it, okay? And it's almost as though you're making a beurre marnier, which is, you know, that's a fancy word for saying kneaded butter, and it also is just equal parts butter and flour. But all you're doing here is making sure that you have this nice little, see, paste. Isn't that cool? Okay, so once again, we're going to swap off our instruments. And first time I did this, I thought I absolutely destroyed it. This is equal parts. I've got about right at a cup of liquid. Equal parts heavy cream and milk, because I was at a half and half, and you know that's all half and half is. Equal parts heavy cream and milk. Now it looks like it's not going to come together. Oh, but have faith, mon ami, it will. See? Now, alright, you see this? If I ask my children, because I teach them to cook all the time, and I can look at one and I can say, a good chef is, and they'll say, a clean chef. And then about 6 months ago, I did that to my daughter. She left a mess in the kitchen. And she said, a clean chef. Well, what happened to you, Mommy? Alright, now, look what's happening. Now, drizzling in our cream, making our little mess, whisking it together. The flour is becoming one. And check it out. Alright, can you see this? Because it's about to happen again. We are going to get silky, which is the essence of a bechamel. A silky cream sauce. They can be, I mean, you can do anything with a bechamel. That's the base of any kind of creamed anything. Alright, you see that? Now, let's go ahead and get in the rest of our liquid. And at this point, I'm going to make sure I do have quite low heat. I want very gentle, and we're going to keep whisking. But all of that flour and the cream cheese and the butter We're going to become one again in just a minute. So at this point, and you saw how fast this is, at this point I'm going to take a good healthy pinch of kosher salt. I think 2 pinches. You know, I've actually measured my pinches. My pinches are right at a teaspoon. Okay. And then right here I have fresh nutmeg. See him? And you don't want a ton, but a little tiny bit, freshly grated. And get the right side of the grater. See? That's it. That's not very much liquid, so you only want a hint. And then, because it's a cream sauce, that begs for pepper. And we like pepper, so I'm putting a good big fat pinch in there. Woo! Alright, so we're going to give it a whisk. We're going to bring all our little flavors together. And you can see in my pot right here next to me, my vegetables have come to a boil. You don't need to boil that hard. You know, you can turn it down. You just want to simmer. And all you want is for your vegetables to become fork tender. Don't overcook them. Alright, now look at this. See that? That's exactly what you want. So at this point, I'm going to cut the camera for just a minute because I'm going to drain my vegetables. I'm going to grab my little casserole dish. I'm going to make sure my sauce doesn't need, maybe, nah, we like it that way. We don't need anything. I was going to say just a touch more milk. You don't want it too tight. You want it loose enough to dress your vegetables in that creamy, luscious, yummy, but not so tight that it's kind of gluey. So, I'm going to drain everybody off, grab my casserole dish, and show you what it looks like before it hits the oven. Okay, I love this part. Now, our veggies had only about 10 minutes, and I will say, it's really important that these come together, they cook together. I've tried this other ways, and something happens with just barely covered with water. They simmer together, and the flavor is unlike anything else. I've tried it to roast them or to steam. It doesn't work. Don't try it. Alright, so all you do at this point, with your lovely, gorgeous, colorful vegetables, is take your bechamel and right over the top. And if you want to, you can mix this in the casserole itself. I just want it pretty because there's a camera going. I want it to look nice. So at this point, you're really just folding in. And I love how those vegetables, oh, that's nice. Creamy, but the vegetables show. Something just gorgeous happens with this dish. No one flavor takes center stage, but all together, it's unlike anything else. Now, that's one of my big things. Taste everything. At every possible stage. I mean, of course, you don't want to taste, raw poultry. But this is already cooked. And it will give you a very good indication of how your final dish is going to come out. So, you always test for salt and pepper, which is what I was doing. Now, I don't think it needs a thing. We did salt the water the vegetables were in. We salted our bechamel when it was cooking. We've adjusted for seasonings here, and I think everything has come together and it's going to be fabulous. Now, I've got my oven set to 350 degrees. I'm going to pop this in, and it's not going to have more than about 20 minutes. So when I pull it out, I'll show you. Go. Alright, here we go. And Evelyn would be proud of this one. That's exactly what you're looking for. Can you see the bubbles around the edges? But you don't want it to go bubbling all the way through because you'll overcook your vegetables. And your bechamel has already thickened. So, at this point, there's nothing to do but eat it up. And that is Miss Evelyn's updated carrot casserole, which will melt in your mouth too.